everyone, it's Allison. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be playing with this brand new collection from Memory Box called Gracious Floral. And we're going to be making these two cards today. So the Gracious Floral collection consists of a stamp set. And there's a matching die for that large floral. And then there's an embossing folder. And the embossing folder comes with a die that cuts out that big center flower. And then there is a stencil set. Now this stencil set has, I believe, 5 stencils. And it comes with a set of instructions or coloring guide, which is great. And again, I think there's 5 stencils. There's 4 stencils and 1 mask, which is what you see right here. So let's get started. First, what I did before filming is I stamped the big image onto a piece of white cardstock, and I stamped it in gray ink. I wasn't looking for a perfect stamping. I just wanted something to where I could see what I was stenciling. And I'm using my stick and stamp mat to keep my piece of paper in place while I place the stencils down. And we're going to ignore the blue flower right now. I realized after the fact that I'm going to pop up an individual flower on top, so that coloring of that flower doesn't really matter for now. So we're going to start with the leaves. And again, there's a coloring guide, so it makes it really easy. And it will show you, which stencils to use for the lighter inks. And everything lines up really nicely. I think probably the hardest thing is just picking your inks. Not that that's hard, but if you have a lot of inks, then you have to make choices, right? And speaking of ink colors, I will be listing the inks that I used on my blog, and I will post a link to the blog down below. So I think I had already inked the purple flowers, and now we're doing the little yellow bits right now. And now we're doing just the center of the yellow flowers. It's just really easy to follow. And I think I had inked up these little stems, and now I'm coming in with a different color green just to brighten it up a little bit. There were quite a few times where I was coloring this where I kind of changed my mind on the colors that I was using, so I would just come in with another color and alter it a little bit, which is easy to do. You just, layer several colors together to get a new color. So here we're finishing up those little leaves, and we're pretty much done. So now what I'm going to do is restamp this image with black ink. And if you saw one of my recent videos where I did a restamping of an image, you're probably thinking I'm crazy, but I had planned for this. My piece of paper is nice and square. I knew that, when I placed it back in my MISTI, that everything would turn out okay. So it makes such a huge difference to restamp after you've done all that stenciling. I just think it creates such a sharp image and sharp lines. So I really think it's worth restamping. So now I'm going to die cut this image. And when I do that, when I've spent all this time coloring an image, I want to make sure that I'm going to die cut it properly. So you saw me cutting a template first, and then putting the template around my image, and then just kind of popping my die in place. So now that it's cut out, I can place it in the embossing folder. And you can see that the image just lines up perfectly into the embossing folder. And Memory Box has a lot of embossing folders like this, where you can die cut an image and then put it in the embossing folder. They do such a great job. Look at that detail that you get. All right, so now I'm creating that flower that I'm going to pop up in the middle. Remember how I said that original blue flower didn't really matter, because I'm going to come along and create one that's going to actually be on top of that. So if I were going to do it over, I would have just inked up that original flower just a solid blue, because it's just going to act as a shadow underneath this one. So here is my flower, and again, I'm going to restamp this as well with some sharp black pigment ink. And again, I created a little template before placing my die. And now that it's cut out, I'm just going to take a black marker and I'm going to go around the edges. You can see where some of the edges are white. So I'm just going to make all of those black. And I'm going to re-emboss this. I think I had embossed it at the beginning and then I die cut it. I can't remember if I die cut then embossed. This was like a month ago. But regardless, I'm going to re-emboss it just to make those embossed lines nice and crisp. So I have this wood grain cardstock from Memory Box, and you can really see the wood grain come to life when you start inking it up. And I'm just going to create kind of a glow effect in the middle by inking up the edges. I'll get a little bit of blue ink in the middle, but for the most part, I'm going to keep going heavier around the edges. And then I'm going to splatter some white paint over the entire card and then that little individual flower. And now it's time to pop that flower up, and I'm just putting a foam dot in the middle. And there it is, popped up. And now we're going to get a sentiment ready. I stamped the sentiment from the actual stamp set, and then I die cut it with this featured sentiment set from Altenew. And I'm just going to glue it in place. And we are almost done with this card. Now for just some final embellishments, I'm going to add some fairy jewels to the center of the flower. And Memory Box has so many different colors of fairy jewels. And I love decorating the center of flowers with these. I do it a lot. And so there you can see the center. And then I'm not sure that I filmed, but in the end, I also added some clear drops around the flower. You can see that in the final image. And I think this card is gorgeous. So another option is to just emboss a panel. You don't have to use the stamp set at all. In fact, on this card, we are not using the stamp set. So once you emboss the panel, you have the lines in order to stencil. You don't need the stamped lines. You can just follow the embossed lines. And so we're going to use the same colors, or at least similar colors on this card, but kind of reverse. We're going to have this card be mostly purple with blue accents, whereas the first card was mostly blue with purple accents. So I'm going to kind of breeze through the stenciling here because you saw me do it on the first card. I think just what I wanted to get across was you don't have to have the stamp set to make a beautiful card with this with this collection. So here I'm almost done with everything, and you can see it coming to life. And now we're going to do another popped up flower. And so for this one, I'm just going to color the entire flower a base color. I don't need the stencil to do that. But then I will come in with the stencil to do those accents. And again, I'm using the embossed lines in order to line up my stencil. And here we're coming in with the darkest color. And after the fact, I wanted to brighten up the purples that I had used. So I came in with another color purple. And again, I think I mentioned this before. I was often kind of adjusting my colors. So here I'm putting it back into the embossing folder, and it's really easy to line that up. It just kind of pops into place in the embossing folder. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but when you do it, you understand that it just pops into place. So here I'm taking a pencil, and it's hard to tell on screen, but it really brings some of that embossing to life. It really just enhances the embossing. And so now I'm doing something similar to what I did on the first card. I'm coming in with some purple ink, and I'm going to ink up the outside edges. I'm going to try to get kind of, going in towards the middle of the card to create another glow effect. But I don't want to, get too close to the greens because purple and green would not be friendly together. So now I'm coming in with a shimmer pen, and I am going over kind of the darkest parts of the flowers and the leaves. And I'm going to go over the center of the flower, and it really kind of adds something special to this card. Again, it's going to be hard to see, but I think you can see some of that shine. And there's the finished card. I think this one turned out beautiful as well. In fact, I still haven't decided which I like better. I love blues, so I kind of gravitate towards the blue card, but let me know in the comments which one you like better. Do you like the stamped one or just the embossed one? Either way, I do love being able to pop that center flower up in the middle. And Memory Box has a lot of different embossing folders that come with these dies where you can cut out kind of the center focal image. In fact, I did a blog post maybe last year with some of their products that there were some fish and some leaves, and they're so much fun. So I can add a link to that blog post in the description below. And I will also have a link to all the products. I thank you for visiting me today, and be sure to give me a like, and I will see you next time. Thanks.